My name is Albert Kahn. I serve as the Executive Director for the Surveillance Technology Oversight Project, or STOP, at the Urban Justice Center. And we have submitted written testimony that explains in detail why we support the KEYS Act and Intro 1170 as important first steps to address the threat that biometric surveillance poses to New Yorkers. But I'm going to address the majority of my oral testimony to the claims we heard this morning from the administration officials because, quite frankly, I feel like I have been hearing about a parallel universe, one which has privacy restrictions from the city that bear no resemblance to what we see in reality on the ground in New York City today. I heard the claim that we may become something that resembles 1984. Well, Council member, let me be clear. We are far beyond anything George Orwell would ever have imagined. Today, we know that biometric surveillance is already being used to arrest thousands of New Yorkers. Programs like the NYPD's facial recognition database, which uses untested and scientifically unfound methodologies to try to find so-called matches for existing photos. We heard about a privacy commitment from the city administration that has not manifested on the ground. We were, I believe it was Councilmember Lander who brought up the very important concerns for undocumented New Yorkers that come from this sort of data collection and sharing. Specifically, how it compromises our promise to be a sanctuary city. But we know that this administration has included loopholes in city privacy law, in intros 1557 and 1588 from 2017 to specifically exempt the NYPD from information sharing restrictions, to allow them to share information with the federal government. And with the technology that we're talking about here in the residential setting, with facial recognition in homes, in our very hallways, they kept telling us why we can't do it, why it's too hard, why it's too much of a challenge. Well, I put to you that if other cities around this country can ban facial recognition, if they can take a stance against the biometric dragnet, if they can have bills that go far further than what we are considering here today, then there is absolutely no reason why the city of New York cannot take these first steps and have these modest requirements simply to let New Yorkers know when they're subjected to biometric surveillance. I think perhaps most telling of all was the administration claim that there hasn't been a single complaint about the use of biometric surveillance in commercial settings. Well, I don't know who they've been talking to, but I get those complaints on a near daily basis, and I'm sure many of you do too. And if they have not been getting many complaints, I can tell you part of the reason why is because we don't have the requirement to post the very sort of notice we are demanding here today. Because many New Yorkers have no idea that simply commuting to the office, their face is constantly being recorded, fed into databases, analyzed, scrutinized, recorded indefinitely to be used by who knows whom for whatever purpose they want, and they have absolutely no right to stop it. We need to enact these reforms, but we also need to go further. And that's why I want to close by once again calling on the City Council to move forward with the only bill that would comprehensively reform our own city's data collection and use of facial recognition and other biometric surveillance, the POST Act. 28 council members have signed on already, and I urge the Public Safety Committee to give us a hearing, and I urge this council to vote and enact the POST Act into law. Thank you.
Committee on Housing and Buildings, Committee on Technology.